famed for having plan A, plan B, plan C. How do you approach this one?
Find plan B. Difficult. I think watched a wee bit of Celtic, watched Celtic Summerland, Celtic Falkirk. Difficult to stop, difficult to beat. Obviously they're playing tonight, but I'd expect Celtic to take care of them quite comfortably tonight, to be honest. So I try and find plan D. So it'll be difficult, Peter. It's always going to be difficult. You'll go there, you try and set up, try not to drop into a low block, they ultimately force you into a low block. Good players, big club, champions, good manager, good players. It's going to be a difficult game of football.
Is there any way, what message do you give to your players? Because you've been over this so many times, that you're back up in the top line. What type of message can you give to your players? Is it more or less keep it tight and then try and look for your chance?
No, not really, to be fair. Like, we've went to Parkhead in previous seasons and I think we got a draw when Ange was in charge. I think we got a draw when Brendan was in charge. I think we've actually got a draw when Neil was in charge as well. So we have went to Parkhead, but I think there's a lot of variables that have to kind of fall in your favour. You need them to kind of have a wee bit of an off night. You need to be at the top of your game. But I think the message isn't just going there and defend. We need to try and go there and be as competitive as possible. We need to try and pose a threat within the game. But again, the harsh reality is they're probably going to dominate the ball. By dominating the ball, they're going to probably drop you into a low block. They're going to gain territory. So you've got to be comfortable in that situation as well. But you've got to go there. You've got to be competitive. And you've got to try and find a way. It's not just about not try to get beat. You've got to try and find a way to be competitive within the game.
Are you hoping then that they have some sort of drop off from the game against Kairat that gives you even a couple of % more of a chance?
I think we affect that side. I think we can. I can't really kind of control anything that Brendan and his players are going to do and the output they're going to give. I can just really kind of in our control to a certain degree is what our players are going to do. So hopefully by our approach within the game, it's going to give you a chance. Hopefully you're not going to give the Celtic players time in the ball. I think at any level of football, if you give players time in the ball, they're going to hurt you. So you're hoping to have an off day, but can we help make that happen? Potentially you can, but I think you've got to go there and be a wee bit lucky as well. I think there's certain decisions that have got to fall in your favour.
The last time I was here, you get some players who are playing some good football. Lewis Smith scored a brilliant goal. Are you looking for, is there certain individuals that have got something, a wee bit of magic that you can then instill that belief to say, let's produce something out of the ordinary for us?
I think so, but we've got game changers at the top end of the park. So yeah, I think we've got a really strong starting 11, whatever that's going to be, but we've also got real good options off the bench. So I'm pretty comfortable with what we've got going to Parkhead. We've got game changers within the squad, but I'll caveat that with Celtic, we've got their own game changers also. So it's going to be a difficult game of football, but go and embrace it, go and enjoy it. You're playing at one of the best stadiums in Europe, playing against a top football team, so go and enjoy the occasion.
Can I ask you just this one question? It's an overall view as a manager. If you as a manager have said, here's your team talk, this is what I want you to do, how important is it that you do sustain that 10-15 minute spell without it being derailed? Because there's an accusation that some players can absolutely do something that kicks your plan into touch. How do you deal with that as a manager?
You deal with it as you would any other game. It can happen in every other game. It's just the probabilities of coming from a goal behind that Parkhead's probably a little bit less than what it is at other venues at this point in time. So you just kind of deal with that moment, deal with it and put it to bed and try and regroup. You're going to make decisions. We're going to not execute some of our decisions properly. We're going to make bad decisions within the game. That's just going to be natural. You're playing in front of 55,000 fans. So it's okay me sitting here and saying this is kind of what I'd like us to do. This is what we want to do. We've worked on it all week. Come match day, I think it's the players have got to try and take that into the game as much as possible. But I'll still caveat it with you're playing against a higher level of opponent, so you need a wee bit of the kind of variables falling in your favour. So deal with the situation when it arises. It's difficult the bigger venues, you can't always get a lot of information onto the park from the sideline, so you're kind of, once the game starts, that's you nearly to half time unless you can get a water break or an injury, that type of thing. So aye, just deal with that moment, but be comfortable in that moment.
And forgive me for this, you're very much an old style manager as well. Would you roast a player, an individual, for a mistake, or are we in a game now where when you get to half time, do you try and pick them up? Is there anything?
I think there's maybe that wee bit of myth. I'm old school. I generally wouldn't say that. I've got old school beliefs. I think you've got to work hard and you've got to have a work ethic within, an application, a good attitude and a work ethic. But a player making a mistake, I make mistakes every week, and I speak to the players about that. So they are going in at half time if a player's made a mistake. No, I'm generally not like that. So nah, I wouldn't say I have. If we need a kick up, I'm quite happy to do that also, but I wouldn't go in and roast a player for making an individual mistake. Individual mistakes I probably make every day in my working life. I make them every match day. It's just unfortunate there's, at this point, there'll be 55, 60,000 fans watching you within the game. So nah, I wouldn't go in and kind of picking a player individually for that, because I do believe there'll be moments before that mistake or that error happened that we could have done better collectively as a group.
So would you single him out to try and boost his confidence then?
I think it depends on the level of error. I think there's certain errors where you probably need to say why or what, but again, you'll deal with that moment. There's all different levels of kind of that individual mistake. If it's an absolute howler, you're probably trying to boost the boys' confidence. You're probably trying to get them back on side to regroup. But if it's a bog standard defending mistake, they're going to happen throughout the season. So you kind of take accountability for it and move on.
I know a lot of your players have spoken about last season maybe having more of the ball and enjoying that. Do you kind of obviously encourage that Celtic Park to express themselves when the opportunity arises?
Yeah, had it last year. We suddenly came up against teams that probably done what I had done previous years in the Premiership, so it's difficult. You're giving territory away, you're giving the opponent the ball. The likelihood is Celtic are going to dominate the majority of the ball on Saturday, but that's, I'll probably caveat that with, that probably goes for 99% of the opponents. Maybe the Old Firm going there, but in general Celtic are going to dominate the ball at home. So we need to be comfortable without the ball. Last year we were the team that dominated the ball, but we didn't always come out in the right end of the result just because we dominated the ball. So it's what you do with the ball and how the opposition kind of deals with not having the ball, their shape, their structure behind the ball, how they're pressing. It's a different game for us. Definitely a different game for us. Even I think most of the games we've had this season, we've either dominated possession in terms of we've had the better percentage, or there's not been a lot in it. This will probably be the first test for us as a group in the 14 months this group's been together, 15 months this group's been together, where they're going to have to sacrifice a wee bit in the game, they're going to have to suffer within the game, but it's got to be feel comfortable while we're doing that. But it's the first kind of test we're going to come up against with that level of opponent.
And just in terms of team, and they coming back, I know you're missing a few last week.
Adam Montgomery's, but he's unavailable because he's a lone player, so that's kind of how it's working. So we Adam's back training, he'd be a big bonus for us if he was available for the game, but obviously he's not, he's a Celtic player.
And is it Christian Montano, do you have a setback or something?
No, it's just taking a wee bit longer to shift it than normal, but Chris has done a wee bit of high speed running today, so he could be available for Saturday, but it's a wee bit close, I don't know.
And how's your transfer window?
I'm kind of still actively looking if someone becomes available. I've kind of been pretty vocal in the full-back areas. At one point last week I was sitting with 4 full-backs injured. Dan Finlayson had a knock, Adam Montgomery had a knock, Cammy Kerr had a knock, and Christian Montano had a knock. So at that point I kind of re-evaluated for myself kind of what we would maybe need to make it a little bit stronger. I'm actively looking in kind of the full back area. I've got boys coming back, like Cammy will be back December-ish time. Dan's just coming back for a knock. Adam Montgomery's coming back from a knock. Christian Montano's still kind of recovering from a knock. So if there's one area of the park where I feel that we're maybe a wee bit light call it light, because I've got really, really good players in those positions when they're available. It's getting them available that's became the problem.
Would you like to see the loan system change a wee bit?
Never really thought about it, Peter, to be honest. It's not something I've really thought about. So, no, I think we're all kind of in the same boat, and as long as you're all kind of in the same boat, I'm fairly comfortable with that. But it's nothing I've really actually gave much thought to.
You have experience of playing Celtic in the aftermath of them playing a European game.
Mm-hmm.
The last time Livingston were in the Premier in the season before. Is that a bit of a myth that can be an advantage to?
I think, no, I don't think it's a bit of a myth. I think historically when they were in kind of maybe the 3-4 rounds of qualifiers before the Champions League stages, so their season had started kind of early July or mid-July, and they'd played, by this point they'd maybe played something along the lines of 6 European games to get to this stage, or whatever it was previously, travelling to all different time zones, all different parts of Europe. They're playing the first European game on Wednesday night, and I kind of think, if you look at the level of the opponent, I would fairly strongly suggest that Celtic are going to come out on top in that game. So would I rather they're playing against Real Madrid on Wednesday night? Probably. But nah, so I think they're at the start of that journey to the Champions League, so I don't really think it has too much an impact in the game.
Would you rather be playing them after they've been to Kazakhstan rather than being home?
Yes. But that's just a kind of normal routine answer. You've got the time differences, the travel, the lack of training time, you've then got the game built into it, the game loads built into that. So, aye, of course I would. But again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you lies. Like, I want Celtic to win tonight. I want Celtic to win for the coefficient of Scottish football. I want Celtic to win tonight, but as soon as that whistle goes, I'll be doing everything I can in my power at the end of the game tonight to make sure we're trying to go to Parkhead to try and cause a wee bit of an upset. But I'm under no illusions how difficult that's going to be.
Can somebody like Bokila give you something a wee bit different when you go there?
You've been watching my training? I'm only kidding. Yeah, Box played at the highest level of anyone across kind of that front line. Stevie May's played top level in the Premiership. Robbie Muirhead's back in the Premiership's not been there for about 8 years. Zach Rudden's played in the Premiership, but if you looked along that kind of line, that forward line, the boys that can play at number 9 position, Bakir's probably got the most experience in the building, but I'll caveat that with it doesn't always mean just that experience is going to give them that starting place, because there's different aspects to the game that we'll be looking at, the coaches, myself, we'll be looking at that we feel can maybe hurt Celtic. So experience, will come into it slightly, but it's not going to be the defining kind of characteristic that we're looking at for who goes and plays in that. It could be a 2 up top for all you know, playing 2 of them.
But you could provide an impact like you did.
Yeah, I think there's still an element of getting Bok up to speed, if I'm honest. He missed, he came and trained with us in Holland, he had 2 or 3 days in Holland. He's an older player as well, so we've got to be careful on his training loads, his game loads. There's a big difference between where Bok was last year and kind of the training intensity to what the training intensity is like in Scotland. It's just the cultures are totally different. So we're still getting him, he's still probably adapting to the training intensity here. But no, he's definitely a player that will be in the squad on Saturday, and we'll be looking to utilise him at some stage of the game, I would imagine.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.